Hello everybody, this is Creso, and I'm here for another interesting topic. The title of this clip, I axe tax. Okay? I'll say it again. I axe tax. This is gonna be a fun clip. Wow. Yeah, this is another topic I've been working on for a little bit, and I'm going to talk about my take on this idea of tax. You know, not an expert, not a tax expert, nor do I care to be one. Okay, but this is a paradigm that we created. We created taxes. Okay, I'm going to give you a breakdown on basically what it does and what it comes with and stuff like that. Okay. The idea of taxes. We are, especially, I'm going to give an example here in the States, United States, okay? We grew up believing that basically the taxes are to repair the roads, the money has been passed on for the roads and for other repair works and all kinds of whatever stuff, right? But then, you know, through the years, we have conspiracies talks about how taxes are going to money, the taxpayers' money, let's just say, going towards some secret operation wars and other stuff, other crazy stuff. I mean, you got taxes and everything. And then, you know, a lot, you know, it's like, wow, taxes. Every year, you hear this lawyer. Your lawyer is saying that I'm going to fight for you. Don't face the IRS alone. You know, call us. And you know, it's just like, wow. You know, it's like crazy. You know, because you know, my take on that is because we are prosperity. No matter who you are, people, you're prosperity. But yet, because you decided to take on this paradigm, you put a salary cap on yourself. You limit money. You limit money in such a way, on top of you created the idea of the IRS, right? You have the paradigm that heavily suggests that you need to pay this. And if you don't pay your taxes, then they talk about a fine. And then they talk about imprisonment. Well, before the tax, and then they got this tax order. You know, and if you don't get certain receipts, certain things not match, the story that comes with that, they'll take everything. They'll take the clothes off your back. This is the stuff that we created, people. A lot of us, I'm not going to say me, but you know, a lot of us, we really are afraid of the IRS. We take on this idea, we created it. Right? Again, I'm going to talk about salary cap a little bit. You put a salary cap on yourself. We think that there's not enough money to go around. You think that we have to, you know, also the paradigm of the IRS suggests that you have to pay things out of obligation. I'm gonna break things down to you people, whether you're that's listening to this clip, whether you can be there and deny it or not. Okay? I created the IRS, and so do you. The IRS is basically suggested as is not enough money, like I said before. Okay? It's basically a fear-based paradigm, very controlling, and another egotistic idea that we created. That's what all it is. Does the IRS really have any significant power over you? No. Reason why I say it doesn't have any power over you, because we gave it power. It's another phantom. A lot of ideas that we create are phantoms and stuff. There are things that are true. And that's what my take on. There are some things that's true. I mean, for example, love. Love is true. Love is, it's like, it's life. You know? A lot of stuff that's based on there's different ideas that basically that we create that signifies low energy. Anything that basically suggests some sort of controlling, or anything to do with fear, or egotistic is basically a low energy. Yes, we created this stuff. Yes, we create other ideas that's not signifies anything that's low. Everything comes from us because we are consciousness. We are the source of all things. You're not just a human being, people. You're more than a human being. So if you think about what I'm saying to you and see this through, you understand where I'm going with this, okay? So the IRS basically, it's an extension, okay? It's an idea, okay? This function of someone as being an IRS, okay? It has no significant power over you, okay? So that's the truth. We create these paradigms because we took on the idea that there's not enough money. Okay, we didn't have to take the idea that there's a lack of money, but because our ego mind suggests that there's not enough of anything, we create such things like the IRS. You got politicians playing this game like they do every 2-4 years, talk about cutting taxes. We're gonna cut taxes, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Cutting taxes, If taxes is such a great thing, why are we cutting it in the first place, right? You know, why? Why do we conflict with the situation with taxes, people? A lot of us, we complain about it. Tax time, I don't want to pay. Why a lot of us basically cheat taxes? Why a lot of people basically find all kinds of way to basically whatever. I mean, there's loopholes in the system, you know that, people. I know that. There's a lot of loopholes in the system. There's so many holes in the tax system. But why do people do this? If the tax thing is such a great necessary thing, why do we do everything we can to basically try to get the most money? I mean, step out of your ego and understand that, people, you are prosperity. There's a conflict going on here when it comes to taxes. You see, spiritually, I don't want to go too much in psychologically so much because it's not just mental, but spiritually. You see, people, spiritually, you are prosperity. You're deserving of every great thing in life. Okay? You know, money, you see, money is an extension of you. Just like I was telling you about the IRS. Okay? Money doesn't define who you really are. We just decided to have money because it's just all fun and games. But money, see, with money, with or without money, people, you are prosperity. But again, if you want to have currency, fine. I like currency. But I'm going to still say, regardless, I am prosperity. You see, the thing is that the reason why is that you cheat your taxes, whether it's through small means or whether through a way of basically finding loopholes, is because you don't want to shortchange yourself. You want to enjoy life. You want to do things. You want to go out. You want to travel. You want to buy more clothes. You want to do all that, and you don't want to pay things out of obligation. But you see, the thing is, people, there's a little bit of a hint here. You see, when you go about also to see, it's kind of tricky. When you go about finding loopholes with the whole tax thing, you see, you also going about in a way that there's not enough money. So you're doing some way to get around the system that you put together. It still falls under that you put a salary cap on yourself. So you have to do you got to do things in a certain way to get more money. But if you took on the idea that there is no limit to money, you're not going to be basically doing about all these things about trying to find loopholes and trying to do everything you can to cheat your taxes. You realize that if you don't limit money, people will, I believe in spirit, people do want to give freely. You know, I believe that. You may sit there and listen to this clip and laugh. But yeah, it is a different feeling. When you press on to somebody to do something with obligation, what is the first thing that people will do naturally? They don't want to do it, right? But let's just say the money is not an object. You have like I mean, you have no problem with money. Money is just there. It's like, money is like a leaf of a tree. There's so much leaves around. Think about it. There's so much money to go around. Are you going to basically hide? Are you going to hoard that money under your bed and not basically contribute to life? No, you're going to freely give. You're going to freely give, people, because in spirit, people, your consciousness, even physical and spirit, your consciousness. I'm just going to speak on the spirit side, okay? So yeah, I do believe wholeheartedly that people do want to give freely. A lot of you that don't want to give is because you have a lack mentality. Again, it goes back where you put a salary cap on yourself. And all those things. You see, when we limit money, that gave birth to the IRS, the idea of taxes. Everything connects. I should have added that in my human paradigm clip, but there's so many examples that I could just basically point out that we created under the idea of lack. There's not enough money to go around and you gotta pay taxes. So with that, see, the paradigm itself, like I said earlier in this clip, it has a suggested, it suggests that you have to pay through obligation. You see, it's afraid that if you do not pay through obligation, there's certain things that are going to be paid, right? Who's going to pay for the highway? Who's going to do this? Where the money's going to go to this? And the money's going to go to the schools, and money go to the hospital, and money go here and there and there. And who's going to take care of the water, the reservoir and the water? Who's going to take care of the parks? And it goes on, people. So do you understand the science behind the lack mentality when it comes to money? This is all part of the game that we all sign up. The human paradigm, like I said before, it is a self-discovery of consciousness. Okay? It's very, very easy. And it's very easy to basically shift out of the whole tax paradigm. Very easy. And no, I don't need a lawyer. I don't need no lawyer to defend me for some IRS. It's very easy to remove the IRS, people. Very easy. You see, to the human mind, it practically sounds crazy that when you put an idea like this, there's no limit to money. Everything in life is being taken care of. For those that want to basically observe the paradigm of currency. You like currency, so there's no limit to money. So all the parks are taken care of. All the roads are taken care of. For those that want to go to a traditional school, there's no cutbacks. Okay? For those that like to go to the hospital or have your favorite hospital nearby, you don't have to worry about the hospital going to be closed down. There's enough money for everybody. So for the human mind to actually think about that sounds absolutely crazy. It's because we allow our own ego again, to micromanage us. Our own ego say that you're nuts. How can it just be? How can you just remove the idea of taxes? Yet you're in conflict with the idea of taxes. A lot of you are. A lot of you are conflicted with taxes. Every year, you got this lawyer talk advertisement with these law firm advertise about, don't face the IRS alone. A lot of you basically sign up for this type of experience about being in a federal prison because you ain't paying your taxes or that you owe money. That's what I say. You put a salary cap on yourself, people. Do we have to live that way? No. So you grew up, and so do I. We grew up with the idea that there's not enough money. I'm working on a clip on money. I'm working on some ideas about money. okay? And this is for those that really like the idea of currency, okay? I'm gonna come up with a clip very soon, okay? So the taxes, yeah, you know, and I'm gonna make it very. I'm gonna close it out very shortly, okay? So yeah, it's quite simple, people. You know, if you took on the idea, if you grew up, if you accepted the idea that's been passed on to you, and you accepted it so, like, you just easily accepted it, you could easily do the opposite. There's no reason to be afraid. There's no reason to be afraid of the fact that there's enough money to go around. And no, you don't need to have an idea to suggest that you got to pay something out of obligation. I'm saying this through spirit because, you see, I am you and you are me. And I'm saying this in spirit that people are willing to give. You could be the most selfish person. You're willing to give something or pass on or contribute. You are. But let's just say if you don't give anything, you know what? There's no limit to life. Everything works out. One way or another, whether you contribute or not, people, life is going to work out. Life is much more bigger than a park that needs to be paid for, okay, that needs to be funded. Much more bigger than a hospital. Much more bigger than a school. Much more bigger than a highway that needs to be repaired or whatever. Life is much more infinite. Life is infinite, excuse me. There's no limitation to life. We put limits there. But the limitations, basically, people, is an illusion. It is an illusion. There's enough money to go around. On my other club, The Human Paradigm, I say the money is like monopoly money. You can reprint money. We took on this idea that basically we have to have a certain amount of money, or we have to basically limit ourselves in such a way. You know, this is what we do. You know, and it's like we're doing it to ourselves. That's the thing. We're doing it to ourselves. But like I said, it doesn't have to be that way. But I'm going to share something to you, what I envision right now. What I envision right now is that people acknowledge that they are worthy and that they are prosperity and that they're connected. This is what I envision. I envision that people move past this lack mentality. And for those that want to observe the idea of money, there's enough money to go around. There's no need to go through an experience that there's not enough money to fund this and to fund that. You don't have to hide, you don't have to play around with any loopholes. There's enough money for everyone. There is. And when you do that, when I envision you that you are reconnected to yourself, which is consciousness, okay, you're gonna suddenly drop the whole IRS just like real easy, boom. So for those that's working in the IRS, I'm pretty sure that, you know, you're very brilliant and intelligent. You'll find something else to do. You'll find a different function. So I do envision right now in spirit, I do envision that basically that the IRS would be no needed. It's gone. That's it. What I envision spiritually, it manifests physically. So if you're listening to this and you think that sounds crazy, well, that's because you're listening to your ego. Okay? It took me a little bit to really see this through. You know, it took me to get to a point when I realized a lot of things that we're doing, which is unnecessary, and that all the ideas that we come up for ourselves, all of that are nothing but suggestive ideas. Everything has been suggested to you. For you to live life in a certain way, to live life hard, or you have to hide and make sure that you're basically have to hide your money and all that stuff. All these things are suggested ideas. You took it in. You took it in through upbringing. You took it from your upbringing that there's not enough money to go around. You got to work extra hard. You created this, people, and so do I. But the thing is, through consciousness, there's hope. Everything is possible. Whether your head is telling you it's impossible, I'm inspiring you to tell you that everything is possible. Because you have to understand where I'm coming from this. See, I look at life as infinite. There's no limitations to life. That means to anything. We create limits, okay? We create limits because we did it. Nobody forced you. Nobody forced me. It's a game. It's an experience. That's another thing about the whole idea about being human. It's just the experience. We think that that's just the way things is and things are set by default. And then we got to listen to some politician with this other game that they play on themselves about cutting taxes. You know how many times I've been hearing about cutting taxes? I'm like, why are they talking about cutting taxes so many times? It's like the same thing I hear every 2-4 years. It's like, give me a break. And then people are still talking about taxes are high and all that. People are complaining, cutting taxes. Give me a break. Really? So these are the things, this is what we do to ourselves. All the stuff is unnecessary. Like I said, you put a salary cap on yourself because you took on the idea. That's it. So when people acknowledge that they are consciousness and that they are worthy and they are prosperity and that everybody's connected, it just changes everything. It's very simple, people. I see things, again, I know I keep saying the word simple a lot, but I just want to say that, it's like, I don't see things that's complicated. Whenever I feel that I think of things complicated, like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work out, this can't work out, or I'm feeling a certain way, you know why? It's because I'm leaning towards my head. I'm relying on my ego. My ego, what it does, the ego is good, okay? It's just that we let it micromanage us for so long. And it tries to figure things out so much that it just is limited. The ego, it's a limit to what the ego could do within us. It figures out, and it's just, and it says so. It's impossible. It can't work out. And the idea of everyone having money is like, if everyone has money, no one's not going to do this, and no one's not going to do that. And in truth of all things in spirit, people, that's a lie. That's a big lie you tell yourself. No one's not going to do this, no one's not going to do that. You underestimate yourself, people, when you rely on the ego. You really do. So that's why I don't really buy that. So yeah, this is what I envision about people, for everybody. Basically acknowledging, again, that you are worthy. You are prosperity. You are connected. And you are love. Everybody's consciousness. You're not just a human being. You're not. You're more than a human being. So I want to wrap it up. So I want to close that out with this whole thing, the I. Okay. And when I mean I, okay, tax. The I is consciousness. Okay. I'm not meaning the other I, like me. No. I, which is consciousness. Consciousness acts tax. That's it. So that's it for this clip. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad that I'm able to express myself in this topic, and I'm pumped up as always. And I will be back with another great topic. Take care.